good morning. This is Tim Squires coming to you from my way to work this morning, and I thought I would shoot a little video about maybe a little summertime reminiscing because of well, this morning I was texting somebody, not texting. I guess we were Facebook chatting with somebody from another country, an African country, and I was thinking about. I guess got me to reminiscing about when I was a youngster because my grandson was over. He's about 10, going on 20. You know how that is. 10 years old. I remember in the summertime when I was 10 years old, I would never have thought that there would be any time when I would be communicating with somebody from some other country like I am now. Um, I remember being in high school taking I took French. I don't know why I took French. I should have taken Spanish like everybody else, but I wanted to be different, so I took French. And I remember trying to get a pen pal from a French country, and I remember it was sad because the person that I chose never wrote me back. And of course, back when I was in high school, that was it would take a long time to get something back from France or any other country. But here we are, and I've been speaking to people on Twitter, Facebook, other instant messaging thing, even commenting on blogs and stuff and getting almost an instant reply. And just really crazy how technology has so advanced. But I mean, I guess when you get a little visitor at your house and he's youngster, you get to reminiscing about how it used to be when you were a kid. And summertime, summertimes were awesome times. But I grew up in upstate New York, and it was. I remember summertime. My little grandson comes over to visit us, and he loves to play video games. Me, when I was that age, we were outside playing, doing, uh, riding bicycles, and as I got a little bit older, in the summertime, I would work. I remember, I don't know why I was remembering this morning, but I just thought I'd share this little story with you. I remember this guy that this little town in upstate New York, guy who was from a transplant from Florida. I mean, it's usually the other way around, right? This guy was from Florida. His name was Mr. Fletcher, him and his wife, and he had, he decided to do something kind of southerny in this little upstate New York town. He built a fruit stand. It's probably the only one we've ever seen in that area, because down in the south, having little fruits or vegetable stands, farmer market type things are common. But in the north, they're just not common at all, probably because of the climate, and the short summers, the short season. But this guy, his name Mr. Fletcher, I got a job with him a couple of summers. I worked with him until he passed away, actually. And I would go and work at his fruit stand and help him sell fruits and vegetables. But I remember one summer, he got me to mow some yards for him, because this guy, he was really an entrepreneur. He's an older gentleman. I think he was retired. I didn't ask a lot of questions when you're a kid because you don't really know what to ask, but I think he was retired because he was elderly. He seemed like he was in his 60s, and but he had this fruit stand and he would mow yards, and I helped him mow. I helped him in his fruit stand, and I helped him mow his yards. And I don't know. This one story comes to mind. I was mowing this one yard I went to take care of for him, and being that I was a kid, didn't have a driver's license or anything, and the only way motor transportation was bicycle, it was on the other side of town, right? So I go to the other side of town and begin mowing this yard. And I was a teenager, young teenager, and I know, to look at me now, you probably won't know this, but back in those days, I used to actually be good looking. At least I thought I was. And this family had these little girls, and it wasn't unusual for me to have issues with little girls having crushes on me. But these two little girls in this one family, I don't know, they had this strange way of showing things. But there was some kind of a berry tree in their yard, and they got like little buckets full of berries. And while I was mowing their yards, they would pelt me with their berries. And I tried my hardest to mow this yard. I tried to do a good job for Mr. Fletcher, the retired guy from Florida. And because I really liked him, and I wanted to do a great job for him, but it was really difficult to do a good job for him while I was being pelted by berries. Oh, really, really crazy story. So I did as best I could, and then I took all I could take, and I went back to Mr. Fletcher and I said, look, I couldn't finish the yard. This family has these two little girls, and they kept throwing berries at me, and I just couldn't do it. So he had to finish that yard that day, I remember. And then in exchange, I took care of his fruit stand. And so that's what I used to do during the summer. I'd mow yards, worked in a fruit stand, just pretty much took care of business. I think my last summer there, I was a junior in high school, and me and my brother Andy, we went to work. We worked during the summer for the schools. Actually, we worked for what was called the Neighborhood Youth Corps, NYC, and we would clean the schools during the summer. We ended up spending our summer afternoons a couple of days a week. We'd end up scrubbing baseboards, trying to get the wax off the baseboards and clean up the stuff. And it was pretty boring in the summertime because the schools were empty. Nobody was there. It was just us. And all you could hear was the squeaky noises of us running brushes across the baseboards. But yet, that's what we would do during the summertime. So much different from today. Kids don't seem to want to work. They don't want to do anything. But back in those days, we were just busy, busy, busy. If we weren't doing that, then we were out riding bikes somewhere. I remember me and my brothers, we used to ride out to the Finger Lakes. The Lake Seneca was about 10 miles from where we lived. And we knew exactly how far because we had these little speedometers, these odometers on our bicycles. And we measured it. And we would go out to the Seneca Lake, and sometimes we'd fish. Sometimes we'd just have a picnic. We were always wore out by the time we got back. We'd get back home, park our bicycles, and just go crash somewhere in the house. But that's what our summers were like. It's just so different. And all this started because of this morning. All this thought process started because I was communicating with somebody from a continent on the other side, a continent and a country on the other side of the world, which is interesting. Some of these people that I write to, they tell me what their country is. I've never heard of them before. You think that you've heard them all when you're going to school, and some of those places around the world, the country names come up quickly and go down quickly, some of them. So you have to really be on top of things. Thank goodness for Google, right? Thank goodness for Google. But anyway, those are some of the thoughts that are in my mind this morning. Some reminiscent thoughts about how things were different when I was a kid as to where they are now. How things have changed. Hey, you guys have a great day. Talk to you later.